Hi guys, hello. Sorry, I'm just sorting out my dolls. Haven't been here for days because yeah, haven't been feeling well. I'm actually off work for 2 weeks. Try to recover. Just I'm just overworked. I hope you guys are doing great. So the doctor actually recommended for me to take some time off and just do everything that I enjoy doing, like a lot of walking or running. I went to the cinema on Saturday by myself to watch The Devil Wears Prada, and then I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the first one, and I couldn't miss the second one. So I went to watch that all by myself, just having me time. So here I'm gonna crochet another Malaika doll. So I'm using chenille yarn, and yeah, she's bold right now. I have some of her sisters that I've crocheted before. If you're new to this channel, these are some of her sisters that I crochet. She's done with her dress and shoes and her nice beautiful afro hair. So I'm gonna do the same for her. I have so many of them, so that's just one of them. Hello, Tegu. Peace be upon you. Thank you. Peace be upon you to you. Greeting from behind the board. Hi. So my kids are in school right now, so I'm just gonna take time and just crochet. I'm gonna close the window. It's quite loud. Can hear all the cars. So I'm back. Just have to close the window. I live right next to the sea and also the main road, so I can hear both the combination of cars and the sea wave. Sometimes it's good, but sometimes not so great when you try to record the video. So tell me guys, who went and watched The Devil Wears Prada? Who has watched it yet? I'm not gonna spoil it for you if you haven't watched it yet, because I went on Saturday and I really enjoyed it. So this is how I start crocheting the hair. This is where I'm trying to get to. The finished product should look like her. So she should have this beautiful afro hair. So this is how I start. If you want to learn how I crochet this hair, I have a playlist tutorial with several videos how to crochet your own hair, your crochet hair, your doll's hair, and you can go and watch it. Yeah. So tell me, did you go watch the Devil Wears Prada? I really enjoyed it. I think it could have been better, but I don't care. I enjoyed the characters. It was just nice to see them back, and yeah, it was just nice.
like, it's too good to be true. Wade and I were dating at this point, and we were on the phone all the time, texting, calling, sending pictures to each other back and forth. But I worked a lot, so Wade and I didn't really get to see each other in the beginning as much. But I was just like over the moon ecstatic that I had found someone. Living with Steven was great. You know, he would cook and he took care of me a lot. But the first big red flag that I had with him was one day I came home from work and I was looking for my laptop to edit some photos and I couldn't find it. And I looked everywhere and Steven was like, I don't know, I haven't seen it. I couldn't find it anywhere. And then finally, Steven admitted that he pawned my laptop because he needed money. I was just so mad that I called the police and I filed a police report. The police did a search for all the pawn shops in the county. They found my laptop literally 2 miles up the road, and they went there and they verified that it was Steven that dropped it off. That's when I found out that his name was Wade, because he used his ID to pawn it, and I found out that Steven was his middle name. So that was a big shock to me because, you know, I thought his name was Steven. And I asked him about why he was going by Steven, why his dating profile said Steven. I actually found that he had several Facebook profiles with that name as well. And he just said that he needed like an escape because he had some exes and stuff that knew his real name and he didn't want them to find him. He was very good at laying it on thick. Like when you have a 6'5" man crying to you that he's so sorry and he just needed the money, your heart kind of breaks and you're like, okay, I understand. It's like a one-time thing. It's not going to happen again.
No, it's not.
This was one of my first more serious relationships, so I hadn't really figured out how a real relationship should work. And we had only been together for a couple months. So, you know, when he apologized and he said he wouldn't do it again, I believed him. In November, on Wade's Instagram, I saw a person named Pinup Princess commenting all over his posts. So I was, you know, asking him, who is this girl? Why is she telling you to call her? And I found out that Pinup Princess was Kelly and also the girl that was in his phone under K. And he told me, oh, that's just my roommate. And at that time I was just like, okay. And I believe that. I had a friend that had broken up with her boyfriend and she needed to move in with someone temporarily, so I let her come crash with me. One day, we were all sitting around talking about mastiffs, and I was like, I know this guy who breeds this rare breed of mastiff called a Presa Canario, and they had some puppies. I didn't know that he was taking that and running with it, and my friend was only 18, so I think that she got sucked into Wade's charisma. I went to work, and Wade and my friend, apparently they went to the kennel and had stolen, I believe, 3 or 4 puppies and brought them back to my house. I got home from work and I was like, why are there these dogs in my house? There's going to be people looking for these dogs. I was freaking out. Wade didn't care. He said, we need to sell these dogs. So he and my friend took pictures of them in front of my couch and posted them on Craigslist. The man that owned the dogs recognized my house and called the police. So I get a phone call from Wade, and he says, I need you to 3-way the detective and tell him that it was you. And if you don't, I'm going to kill your dogs. It was like totally out of left field. I was like, who are you? Like, what is happening right now? I wasn't 100% sure if he would actually go through something like that, but I was so afraid for my own animals that I didn't want to risk it, and he was home alone with my dogs, and I was at work. So I called the cops. They told me to walk them through everything, how I stole the puppies, what the place looked like, and I did. They told me I needed to turn myself in the next day. I confronted Wade when I got home. Thankfully, he didn't do anything to my dogs. And he was like, I have a criminal record and you don't, so it's better for you to be on probation, not me. He said that he had just gone to jail for a couple petty things like stealing and stuff like that. This is the first time that I heard that he had a record. I had no idea. I thought he was a good boy in Tallahassee. The next day, Wade and my friend dropped me off at the jail. And I had to sit in a jail for 27 hours. I grew up in Catholic school. I am not a criminal. So I was like sobbing the whole time. When I got home, they were gone. And so was all of their stuff. All of Wade's clothes, all of her clothes, my handgun. I panicked. I went to check my ring footage, and what I found was the night that they had dropped me off at the jail, they went back home, and they were all flirty and huggy and kissy right in front of my camera. I had evidence now that he was being unfaithful with my friend. At this point, I had looked up Wade's background, found out that he was a felon. He had several records of stealing weapons and thieving and breaking into people's homes, and I believe he had a few drug charges as well. So I told the police, a felon stole my handgun, which then put a warrant out for his arrest in the state of Florida. So I called my friend's phone, I called his phone, they wouldn't answer me for several hours. Eventually they did, and they told me that they were going to Texas. I was very angry. The police couldn't extradite him or anything like that. So I had to somehow get him back to Florida. Late December, I get a phone call from Wade. And he is like, I am so sorry. I want to come home. And all I had in my head was revenge. I agreed to pay for his bus ticket, and I called the police, and I said, I have him coming back, and you guys have a warrant. So if I get him to my house, will you come get him? And they said, sure. I picked him up from the bus station. He had told me that he had started doing cocaine. I don't do drugs, I've never done drugs, but now we were sitting in the car, and he was trying to like get a pen apart because he was trying to use it as a crack pipe. When he couldn't get it apart, he was freaking out. He was trying to like break it. He was like jabbing stuff in it, and I was like, "What? Like you're being really aggressive." And that's the first time I ever like felt fear from him. I thought he was gonna actually put his hands on me. I brought him back to my house. Called the police. They said, we need you to try to get him to come outside. So I went outside. There was like 15 cop cars. There was dogs. The cops had shotguns. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is terrifying. So I called him and I said, can you bring me my car keys? I need to get something out of my car. So he came outside. And the cops put shotguns in his face and took him down and dragged him into the car. After Wade was arrested, he called me from jail begging for me to bail him out, and I was like, absolutely not. I think I let him sit in there for like 4 days, maybe. And eventually, he broke down my walls by crying and begging. I bailed him out, but I told him I didn't want him coming back to my house. We were going to figure something out, but it's not going to be at the house. So that's when I suggested that maybe he should go to a rehab. And he told me, I have a friend who agreed to take me to a rehab and give me keys. Wade and I continued talking. He would go missing, like for like a day or two, and then I'd write him and I'd be like, hey, stranger. And he would be like, I'm so sorry, I've been so busy. But in January, I moved to the Keys with my sister. I knew that it was going to be a while before I could see him again. After I moved, I was posting pictures on, Snapchat about us being in Key Largo. And Wade called me.
What's up? When can I come down there? Because listen, I'm looking at jobs down there, looking at jobs here. I don't want to get a job here and be settled here. But listen, straight up, I would rather come down there and be with you.
He was like, can I come live with you? Can I come be with you? And I was like, yeah, sure. Because I obviously want to be with him too. Then he told me, okay, I'll be there in a few hours. Wade and I needed to get to the Keys to meet up with this supposed person that was going to help him with a rehab. But I didn't have any money because over the course of our relationship, he had pretty much drained me dry. I had like a quarter of a tank, so there's no physical way. That's a 3-hour drive. He was panicking at this point. We had gotten in an argument, so I got out of the car at a stoplight. He was driving. I didn't want to deal with it. I said, take my car to the Keys. I don't care. I felt like there was something seriously off with him, and I was afraid. That's when things started to go downhill. So I started walking. He drove around the block and attempted to hit me with my own car and told me to get back in. I was really scared, but I got back in the car, and as soon as I did that, he started strangling me with both hands. I froze. I didn't know what to do. I was like in full panic mode. This person that I thought loved me was putting his hands on me. I was like clawing at his arms, and somewhere he had gotten a pocket knife. So he pushed me onto the floorboard, and he took the pocket knife and he cut through my shirt and my sports bra and cut it off completely and held the knife to the back of my neck, and he said, you need to stay there, and if you get up, I'm going to stab you. And he used my sports bra and my shirt, and he tied my hands together and started driving. He told me if I picked my head up, if I did anything, he was going to kill me. At one point, he punched me in the face, and he told me, get out of the car, don't look at anything, and go to the back seat. So I did. When I got into the back seat, he ripped off my shorts and he sexually assaulted me. And when he was done, he pushed me on the floor in the back between the seats, and he took the laundry that I had and he covered me with all the dirty laundry. I thought I was going to die 100%. And then he met up with somebody and sold my phone for $50, all while I'm in the back seat of the car underneath dirty laundry, bound and gagged and bleeding. He ended up driving for several hours. It was like 2 a.m. And then I said, we're supposed to be meeting up with your friend, so shouldn't I be sitting in the front seat with you? Because if I'm sitting in the back, it's gonna look kind of weird. He was like, yeah, you're right. I want you on the floorboard until we get there. And then when we got close enough to where his friend was, he let me sit up on the seat. He said, don't look at her. because I don't want her to see your face. Wade pulled up to the gas station around like 2 o'clock in the morning. He went to the back seat, grabbed his backpack. I didn't see anything off about Kelly. I didn't see anything off about him either. And we went back to my house. What he told me was that she was just doing him a favor, dropping him off. If I knew that he did anything to her, if I would have seen her bloody, bruised, or anything like that, like, I would not have taken him to my house. I was just in the keys with my car and no phone, no nothing, and I just wanted to go home. I went like 120 the entire way. I went to my mom's house, woke her up at 4 a.m., and she turned on the light and saw my face and called the police. The Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office was in charge of the investigation, and Detective Potter was put on the case against Wade.
My name is Detective Potter. I'm with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, the Special Victims Unit. One time in his car, you said that's when he assaulted. What do you mean by assault?
He had sex with me without my consent.
Explain that to me. Help me understand what you mean.
I pulled my pants down and stuck it in with my consent.
Stuff what?
His penis. Right before he tied me up.
Okay. Did he use a condom? Did he say anything? Okay.
And then he hit me in the face. And he bit my cheek and he bit my ear.
Did you feel like he was going to kill you? Did he mention that? Do you think he has the ability to kill you?
Yeah, when he choked me, it felt like he was going to kill me. And he just kept threatening to stab me 30 times and throw me in a ditch, so I thought he was going to do it. When I went to the police, I thought that I was doing the best thing and that I was going to get justice for what had happened to me. I was happy to give them all this information and DNA and everything else.
Alright, brother. The police officials involved in this case, coerced, threatened, or otherwise forced you to give me a statement? I'm making a statement of your free will. Alright, now, you know why you're here.
I do know.
You're a suspect in the case, because she had called and said you did something like that.
I understand.
She's my victim. I'm working for her. You gotta realize that. But I do have to give you the option to tell me, hey, I didn't kidnap, I didn't rape, and I didn't assault her. And I have to believe it. See what I'm saying? So with that said, did you kidnap her? Did you take her to the keys? The keys are go against her will.
Listen, let me just say to take a Potter, Diane, I need to say this like this. I've caused her no harm. Physically, nothing, dude. I haven't done nothing ever in life, ever since I've known her.
That's all I need to hear. You know that, and I know that. You know what I'm saying? He said he beats me, he does this, he does that. And, you know, I'm like, oh, I just don't know. I'm not down. You're great. I don't know. You're doing great and you're a smart man. You know, you're on the right track. But you know why we're here. She wants this to go crazy. This is all serious over. Which sucks because she is my victim, so I gotta give her 100% of my abilities. But I ain't putting the wrong man in jail. I'll be damned if I do.
That's all I want to do. Like, I just want her to stop him. Like, it's all I need.
That'll never happen from this
Thank you so
department.
much. Like, honestly, thank you. Like,
None of our people are gonna do that.
yeah, thank you so much.
I did find out that eventually he did get a swab from Wade for DNA.
Both sides are gonna do that. Both sides, as you said. Okay.
And he asked if he would do a lie detector test. Wade declined. And for whatever reason, the detective was like, okay, that's fine. He closed the case without getting the DNA back and just said, I have no proof, and this is just like a he said, she said type of thing. There was no witnesses. I begged for him to not close the case. I was like, you're a detective. You're supposed to be protecting me. From a young age, you're taught to go to police when you need help. And I did that, and nothing was done. I was failed as a victim and a sexual assault victim. Living in my sister's house, it was going pretty good, but like a week or so later, my sister and I got into an argument, and she told me that I had to leave, and obviously Wade had to go with me. But where I was going, Wade couldn't go with me. Wade told me he had a friend that he was going to go with. After I moved, we talked on the phone, and we were messaging and everything, and then I couldn't get a hold of him.
Hello,
The
soy,
phone was off.
Sora.
Messages weren't going through, and I just realized that he ghosted me. One of my longtime zoo friends had reached out to me and said that one of her friends was dating Wade, and then she told me that it was a guy, and I was like, wait, what?
I was in Inverness, Florida, working on a carnival when I first noticed a hot guy working at a pizza stand. In 2019, I was living in an RV, traveling on a carnival. I was working at a bungee jump at the carnival. I saw this new guy that I'd never recognized before. I was like, wow, he's pretty good looking. I just told my friend, I was like, I think that I'm going to give him my number. So I wrote my number on a napkin and just left it there at the stand that he worked in. And a couple days went by. I felt someone tap on my shoulder. He said, I'm Wade. And da-da-da-da. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm Christopher. He's like, I need that number again. And I was like, oh, okay, so. And I just put it in his phone. That night, he messaged me. And he's like, so I just got in a fight with the girl that I'm with. And she kicked me out. And he's like, I have nowhere to go. I was just like, yeah, I have a couch. I mean, you can sleep on the couch or whatever. And he's like, well, I don't want to sleep on the couch. I'm like, well, you can sleep wherever you want. I don't care. I met Wade on like a Tuesday or Wednesday. And then like maybe that following Sunday night, Wade moved into my RV. Wade said that he was straight when I met him, but I was like, that just seems a little sketchy. Like, if you're straight, you don't move into a guy's house with a guy and then want to sleep in his bed. Maybe like a week had went by and then we ended up going out and had some drinks. And I was feeling pretty good, so then I think that was the first time. Usually after the first time, like, you sleep together, either it goes well or you never hear from that person again. Like, that's just how it goes. But then he still was living with me, so 2 weeks after he'd moved in, he had asked if I wanted to make it Facebook official. I was very surprised because he was so skeptical about being with a guy. And this was my first relationship with a guy. We enjoyed being together. We did a lot of stuff together. We had fun. And then after that was our last affair. I was like, well, I'm gonna go home to my mom's house for a little bit and just park my trailer there so I can spend a little time with her before I figure out what I'm gonna do. So we ended up doing that. One night, me, Wade, my mom, and a few friends went out to a bar, and they thought he was hot. I mean, obviously, and they thought he was cool because he's good, smooth talker, you know. One night, Wade is just like, oh, we should get some drugs and like have fun. We just chill at the house and like, and I was like, okay, cool. I'll call up this dude that I used to know. And this guy, like, I don't know what he gave us. Like, ended up giving us like bath salts or something. In the middle of the night, Wade is flipping out, and he's just like, oh my God, somebody's trying to break in the house. Someone's trying to break in the house. I'm like, nobody's trying to break in the house. Go to bed. So then, like, a few hours later, he ends up waking me up again. Well, this time he's, like, standing over my bed with a knife. Wade said, if somebody breaks in the house, I'm going to slit your throat before I slit theirs. And I was like, that pissed me off. So then I ended up, like, getting up out of bed and, like, we got in a fight. I pushed him and got crazy while he had a knife in his hand. And so then he ended up, like, cutting my chest. He cut my hand. For like 4 hours, they wouldn't let me get up, and I would try to get up, and then he like literally was choking me. It was crazy. I had like these sliding glass doors in my RV, like that covered my closet, and he ended up like throwing me through there, and then it broke the glass. So then that ended up cutting me more. Now I'm like really bleeding, and I was like, oh my gosh. Then he ran out of the house. So as soon as he like left, I like locked my door. My heart was beating so fast, it was like forever. After he stabbed me, I didn't call the police. Unless someone's dead, no reason to call the cops. I ended up taking an Advil PM and I got under my kitchen table and I just slept under there. I wake up like the next day to my sister like banging on my door. Wade had ended up getting a hold of my sister. My sister calmed the situation down and like he showed back up with blood all over him and apologized. He seemed sincere. He sounded like he was sorry, so I said after that, if you're with me, like there's no more drinking, no more smoking, like you're not even smoking cigarettes, I don't care. Wade had found this job on Indeed that sounded different and more interesting than what I had going on. And then we moved to Key West like 2 days later. He had lived down there prior, so he seemed to have like a little familiarity with it, but I didn't. I would say maybe 2 weeks after we had arrived in the Keys, I found out that Wade was like going around and telling people that we were cousins. And I felt like Wade was embarrassed about our relationship. I didn't want to be in a relationship where I had to hide anything. So I kicked him out. Then I just packed up and left.
I found out that Wade had been dating Chris, and I wanted to reach out and warn Chris about everything. He had told me that he had kicked Wade out recently, and he had attempted to stab him. He told me everything about how things had gone great in the beginning, and then just went way south very fast, just like with mine. After that, I started reaching out to all the people I could find that had dated Wade and that he had hurt. And I started telling my story on Instagram and TikTok.
So this is my lip. He busted my lip open. These are the ligature marks on my hands. This is the marks from being strangled.
Posting videos about Wade and what he did to me, and that other women and men should not hide, and they should tell their story, and if anyone ever needed someone to talk to, they could message me. Wade's biological father reached out to me. I had no idea who he was. He told me, don't go back to him. He's done this before. And hearing that from his father really solidified that I cannot ever go back to this man, which is part of the reason why I was so adamant about helping other people to stay away from him. Several months after I started posting on social media, I got a message on Instagram from somebody saying that his friend Mila had started dating Wade, and they needed help to get her away from him because he was already abusing her. They sent me pictures of her covered in bruises, like way worse than I was. So they gave me information. I reached out to her, and she told me from the beginning he was putting his hands on her. But she loved him and she wanted to try to make it work. Seeing how he was so easily able to do what he did to me and to Chris and to Mila and to everybody else, I knew it was going to escalate. I was begging Mila to leave him. I told her everything that he did to me. I was like, please get away from this man. He's going to kill you.
There was a man grabbing a woman in a parking lot. She's yelling no, when she's on the ground.
There's a man here appears to be attacking a woman. Male, female, fighting in the parking lot.
We do have a call and we have officers en route, sir.
The Fort Myers Police Department responded to Mila Spa for a domestic violence fight where witnesses had told the Fort Myers police officers that Wade Wilson had punched her in the face.
Wade Wilson. He just got out of jail. This guy's a nightmare. Like, she spent the night at my house because he took her car. So she spent the night at my house on the sofa, and he was calling her up. You're not at his house. You're not at. He's a fucking liar. I'm like, she is, bro. She's right here on my bed because you took her car and won't give it back. Now he has her car. He's took her place. Didn't give any of that back. I'm like,
When they responded there, Melissa Montanez gave a vehicle description of the car that Wade was driving.
Wade Wilson was supposed to come to her spa and bring her back her car that he had taken the night before. And instead of showing up in her car, he showed up in a car that she did not recognize.
Black Nissan Versa, white male, no shirt, covered in tattoos.
They end up locating the car with Wade Wilson at a Joe's Crab Shack, just sitting in the parking lot.
How you doing? What's going on, man? You're waiting on your girlfriend? Oh, okay. That's no problem. No, I got a call. Somebody was sitting in their car and everything like that. So. Oh, okay. She's on her way now. Okay. I'm gonna have you step out of the car, and I'm gonna detain you. Not arrest. Detain you right now. Because of the battery this morning. There wasn't any battery? Let me see the keys to the car. Wade. Just wait till my partner gets here. L41, gonna need a couple more units. Don't go anywhere. Hey, outside, going up towards McGregor.
Do we have like an address where this guy lives or anything?
Dang it, sir, we don't even know who that car belongs to. I'm off. He signal 12, it's only battery charge.
When Wade Wilson took off from the scene, there was a very brief pursuit before that was terminated. Wade Wilson was only being investigated by the Fort Myers Police Department at that time for a misdemeanor battery charge. Pursuing someone, endangering the lives of the public for a misdemeanor battery charge is not something that any agency would do.
We know that Wade went to Joe's Crab Shack, and then he left there and then went back over the bridge, back over into the Cape, and went to Mateo's Graphics, where Wade had approached Joshua Lukic seeking to get help, just to get out of town as quickly as he possibly could.
911, what is your emergency?
I have a very unstable man that's at my office. He's got tattoos, he's shirtless. He said he just hurt a girl.
His name was Wade.
Wade, yeah, I don't know his last name, but I know his name's Wade. He's just a cordial friend of a friend, associate. He just did something bad, I guess, and is running from somebody, but I need to get him out of my place. I just left. I'm right around the block at Elko State with this guy there. He won't leave.
When the Cape Coral Police Department arrived to meet with Josh Lukic, officers tried to locate Wade inside the business, but he had fled the area on foot.
Cape Coral at that point wasn't even aware of what had happened at Mila's Spa in Fort Myers. There would have not been any communication or knowledge between the two agencies.
Detectives began investigating the vehicle that was located there at the business. They determined that it belonged to a young lady by the name of Christine Melton. Christine Melton was then placed on the radar, and they began to try to locate Miss Melton. They began running the driver's license information for her, determining who the emergency contact was, which happened to be a young lady by the name of Stephanie Johnson. They reached out to Miss Johnson. Miss Johnson had told them that the night before, she and Christine Melton met Wade Wilson at the Buddha, which is a local establishment here in Fort Myers. They were in the process of closing down the Buddha. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning, but yet they didn't want to stop partying. So they decided to move over to Miss Melton's residence. Stephanie had to get her child to school, so she left Christine alone with Wade Wilson at that point in time.
The Cape Coral Police Department had responded to Christine Melton's home in South Cape Coral.
When law enforcement arrived, they knocked at the residence. They didn't receive a response, so they ultimately wound up breaching the door.
When officers went inside, they had located Christine Melton, wrapped up in some blankets and a carpet. Christine Melton was choked to death. Right about that same time, we received a call from the Fort Myers Police Department. They had been investigating the domestic incident with Melissa Montanez and Wade Wilson fleeing the scene in Christine Melton's car. The homicide by Christine Melton, then the domestic violence incident with Melissa Montanez happened right on the border between the two cities. We are working 2 investigations that are separate from each other at the same time with the same suspect. The search was on at that point to find Wade Wilson.
In 2019, I was working for the Cape Coral Police Department as a detective. When we found out that Mila was the girlfriend of our current suspect, then that's when they requested, hey, Detective Nino, go to the Fort Myers Police Department, go speak with Mila, see what information we can get from her. Most importantly, a location for Wade Wilson at the time, and what relationship Wade Wilson had with Miss Christine Melton.
Boyfriend, 6 months. He's been in jail, incarcerated 3 times. He beat me up and I put him in jail here. And then, but he had a charge in West Palm for 2nd degree felony stolen property. They released him and me, stupid enough, went down 5 days ago and got him. There's a gang of exes that keep saying, Mila, don't go back, Mila, don't go back.
Exes of his.
Yeah. Kelly was friends with Chris, and like, it's just like all these people that link up together to share information. Everybody told me that this would happen. I have a busted mouth, so I'm talking funny. Yeah, he busted it this morning. He punches me as hard as he can right here, like in the face. And somehow when he punched like that, I was able to kind of like maneuver around the back and run. And that's how I got away. And then he jumped in the car and left.
You haven't seen him though since then. No, let's rewind.
Last night we went to Buddha, roughly 11-ish. We ordered a few beers. Well, he's wandering around talking to people. You know, he's very social. And then I pretty much sit at the table watching the band. And yeah, we just hang with friends and stuff like that. And then that's when he wanted to go get drugs at the drug house or something. I said, no, I don't want to go to a drug house. You know, I guess he knew that I wasn't going to do that. He took the keys. And then I see the Hellcat drive off.
He leaves the Buddha in your car by himself.
No, he can't drive a stick shift, so he had somebody else with him. I don't know. I feel like it was a car full of people. And in the morning, he was blowing up my phone, and he told me the Hellcat ran out of gas somewhere. So I said, okay, let me come get the keys. So I said, meet me at the spa. He pulls in a black car. I'm wondering whose car it is.
Were you ever inside the car?
No, I was not getting in the car. I would have died if I would have got in.
Speaking with Mila, we were able to put Wade Wilson at the Buddha the same night as Miss Mountain, and we were able to connect the charges for the battery, domestic violence, with the homicide investigation.
Oh my gosh, stop it. Are you really serious?
Did you see him talking to anything that was he talking just to random people in the place?
He's very social. If I wouldn't have went and got him, this would have never happened. I wish I would just left him now.
Well, speaking with Mila, I asked her if I could see her phone. And I noticed that he had called her several times throughout the day of October 7th from different numbers.
When we recovered the black Nissan belonging to Christine Melton, we ended up serving a search warrant on the vehicle. And we did locate 2 cell phones inside of this black Nissan. When we recover the phones, we are not able to just turn on cell phones and see who they belong to and start rummaging through them. To be able to go inside someone's cell phone requires a search warrant, and that takes time. And in a situation like this, time is important. So I was really playing a waiting game. While we were working on the Christine Melton case, that first day, we get another case. We had received a call at the Cape Coral Police Department about a found purse and possible missing. A police officer at a local elementary school had a parent come into the school and say, hey, I found this purse out in front of the school by the sidewalk. He looks in the wallet, gets the name and the address, and realizes that the owner of the purse, Diane Ruiz, lives just a couple of streets behind his school. The officer went to return the purse, and when he got to the home, he learned that Diane Ruiz was not there. Her son told our school resource officer that my mom is supposed to be at work.
911 for emergency.
file a missing persons report.
Okay, what's exactly going on?
Well, she was walking to work and never made it to work. Her purse was found, and she is nowhere to be found.
Okay, and who is that to you?
That is my fiance.
Does she have a phone?
Yes, her phone is not in her purse that they found. In Diane's case, knowing that her cell phone was turned off and that she was not responding to any messages, I really wanted to get a hold of her cell phone records quickly. When I was speaking with another detective, she said, you know, Nick, what do you think the chances are that these two cases are related? And at that time, I said, I don't know, we're on opposite ends of the city. Nothing so far has said that Diane Ruiz or Christine Melton knew each other, and we could not come up with a connection between the two women. All at the same time, there's still a big piece of the Christine Melton case missing. Our suspect is still on the loose. We knew the general area that he was last in when he was at Mateo Graphics. That neighborhood was searched extensively, and we had hoped that he was still in that general area. All of a sudden, that night on October 7th, we get a big break. We received a call from Wade Wilson's dad, giving us a location of a house that he was hiding inside of in Cape Coral that was right down the street from Mateo Graphics.
I said, what's going on? So he goes, you want me to tell you the truth? And I said, yeah. He said, I killed a girl last night. And I said, what? And he said, 2. And he said, I choked the bitch. She said, Dad, I'm a killer. I'm a killer, and I kill with my bare hands. He said, they'll find the first one, I know that, you know. He went in detail what he did, and he laughed. And thought it was funny. And I said, where are you? He said, I got away, I found a house.
Wade Wilson broke into a home nearby in northeast Cape Coral. Luckily, the couple that was living there had left the day before and went back to Ohio. Wade Wilson helped himself to some White Claws, food, and clothing. During that time, he ended up calling his biological father. We found out that his dad didn't have much of a connection with Wade until he had reconnected when he was 18 years old and had started asking his parents for money.
Wade had asked him whether or not he would assist him in getting out of town. The dad put out a ruse to indicate that, yeah, he would get him an Uber, but he needed to know what the address was, where he was located. So at that point in time, the father let Cape Coral Police Department know where Wade Wilson was. When the task force got there, they then invited Mr. Wilson to come out. And that's how he was ultimately located and ultimately arrested.
All right, man, listen, I'm a nice guy, okay? All right, good. So, all right, I'm gonna put some new handcuffs on you. If you do anything stupid, I'm gonna slam you on your face. I said it.
Slam me on my face if you want to. I don't know how I get it up. All right, you don't have to spend.
That's the fucking car, man. Expect you. Fuck you,
Good on that. Fuck you.
What's your name?
I got a phone call from his dad saying, I'm on the other line with the marshals, and they have Wade surrounded, and he murdered 2 women. Of course, I was like, are you serious? But deep down, I wasn't shocked at all. I knew that that's what he was capable of.
After Wade Wilson was placed under arrest, the first interview with him went very quickly. He did not admit to knowing Christine Melton, did not admit to having anything to do with the homicide of Christine Melton. The next morning, an email came Diane's cell phone carrier. At that point, I now have her cell phone records, and I'm looking at the last calls or text messages that were made or came through. And when I looked at the phone number, immediately my heart sank because I recognized the phone number that was being dialed, belonging to the girlfriend of Wade Wilson. Wade Wilson was calling his girlfriend Mila from Diane Ruiz's phone. At that point, I knew that the Christine Melton case and the Diane Ruiz case were connected. So at this point, my strategy changes. I go from working a missing person case to working a possible homicide.
A painful night for Southwest Florida family. Their loved one is missing.
Diane Ruiz disappeared yesterday morning on her way to work. Her purse found nearby.
The storage is just sitting back here and just waiting. It's killing us. And it really is killing us.
Randy Cuellar and his family are still reeling from the sudden disappearance of his mother.
I want my mother to come home. That's my mother.
After getting the phone records, I was able to go into the elementary school and take a look at the surveillance video from the time where the purse was dropped off. And now I see Christine Melton's car in the same spot where Diane Ruiz's purse was located. I also obtained GPS and longitude latitude coordinates for every spot that her phone was pinging. Diane's phone had traveled a lot within her neighborhood and then had traveled west on Pine Island Road. Pine Island Road is a lot of vacant lots, a lot of trees, bushes, wooded areas that you could potentially hide a body if you wanted. I had believed that Diane Ruiz's body was somewhere located along Pine Island Road. We had canines out searching for her. We had side-by-side ATVs out looking for her. Squad cars, you name it, everybody was out looking. Within, I would say, about 2.5 days of searching, Wade Wilson's dad had another conversation with him while he was in the Lee County Jail.
What's up, Dad? Hey, how you doing? All right. You okay? Yeah, not really. I found out how they found me. What? They said you. They said they found me because you. What they say? They said you called them. Yeah. Did you? What do you think? Yeah. 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 All right. How do you feel about that? Yeah. Yeah. I do too. Yeah. Do you understand that? Right. Why would you want me to? You know, I'm gonna be there. Wait, son, listen to me. I love you more than anything on this fucking earth. And I'm gonna be honest with you, son. You broke my heart. Yeah. When I say that to you, I don't mean that to make you feel like cheap. But I say that to you because you know you came from me. Yeah. And the pain that you have caused, son, I see you just right here. Yeah. It's something that'll never be forgotten. But listen to me, son. We gotta fix it. Well, how do you want me to fix it? I'm done here. You know you fix it? Because I'm gonna tell you why we gotta fix it. 3 reasons. You know, that 15-year-old boy that's making his fucking mom right now. Yeah. Who's about to fucking lose his shit because he's waiting on his fucking mom to walk back in that door. Yeah. We gotta fix it. That fiance who's waiting on his flight to come home. We gotta fix it. Yeah. It's the only way, Wayne, that you are gonna get any fucking lenient is to fix this shit. Okay? Everybody stay picture of watch you. Yeah, I know. So, yes, just watch your shit. Yeah. But you know what? You know this. And I have no question. Did they put the story on the news and everything? Yeah. What do you want me to do? We need it when? We got it. That lady home got our family, son. Are you kidding me? No, dude, I'm not fucking kidding you, Wade. It's fucking heartbreaking. Yeah, okay? This is what I don't understand. You know, and I don't, whatever. Was that just Raven's part? Yeah. Yeah, I knew it. I knew it was. Yeah. And, you know, and he lost his goddamn mind. Yeah. Yeah. Okay? And my biggest fear was that you were gonna leave it and go on a rampage. And I just about there. I know you were happy. Yeah, I was. That was a good one. I know. How do you know? That's crazy you said that. You were right. You were right. Yeah, that's why after the first one I said, okay, number 2, then number 3. Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I said. You know what's crazy, son? What's that? The people count that you were. Yeah. There was a just left. No. They fucking just left. Just left. You're kidding me. No, I'm not kidding. Yeah, I believe it. What happened? What did that fucking house? Oh, everybody. Right. Everybody.
October the 10th was now the 3rd day that we were looking for Diane Ruiz. All of the officers at our police department were still searching the Pine Island corridor. 2 of our officers had taken a break from searching, and they were having lunch in a vacant field. While they were having lunch, one of our officers noticed a buzzard in the sky in the area. The buzzard ended up landing in a vacant field next to some pepper bushes. Buzzards are attracted to decomposing flesh. So the officer went into the pepper bushes in this vacant lot, and that's where he had located the body of Diane Ruiz. When the medical examiner had responded to the scene, Diane Ruiz had some marks on her body that looked like tire marks. However, it was really hard to tell from the naked eye any cause of death. When we were on scene, I get a phone call saying, hey, Wade Wilson wants to talk to you.
What's going on? Hi, Wade. My student needs some french fries and a burger and a chicken breast. French fries and a burger.
He wanted to trade a body for a meal. But Wade Wilson has no idea that we just located the body of Diane Ruiz.
So do you want me to tell you what happened?
Yeah.
Good. All right. Truth is, I was just randomly driving. I saw her walking up the road. Took the window down and I said, hey, you know what high school is? Where's the school at? Can you show me? She got in my car.
Okay.
Got her in my car. And then, right there, we drove to school. I was going to drop her off. But I knew in my mind I was going to drop her off. She really wanted to get out of that. At this point, I can tell she did. I can sense your fear in your fucking mind. I'm like, well, you're the prey. I can sense it. And she wanted to get out of there and I can just tell. So I was like, no, I'm just good. Grab my neck.